Hi, this is Marcus Pulis, and this is Aquarian Anarchy. And first, I want to start off with saying please hit subscribe, hit that little bell, and like this video, and go check out some of my other videos. I'm doing this once a week, and covering pretty good news from a voluntarist perspective. And if this is your first time, welcome, and I hope you enjoy my sense of humor because you're going to get plenty of it tonight. Today is going to be a little different than I've done in the past because usually I lead with what I feel is the most important story that I'm going to cover. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to finish with what I feel is the most important story. The reason for that is that there really hasn't been anything of real import that has happened in the last week. There's stuff that's happened, but it's not huge. I'm going to cover what we've got. But that leaves a lot of room for me to rip into Donald Trump and tear apart his talking points and socialist and neocon positions within his State of the Union speech. So that will be the last thing that I do. It's going to be a little longer video, but just in case those of you that are used to watching this want to not get fully into that, I'm going to start with the other news first, which I don't think is as important. Now, there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to get the panties in the wad and say, well, what about impeachment? And what about the because tonight it's New Hampshire and all that, and what about the debate and all that? Oh, that's bullcrap. Not a bit of that matters. They already know who they're going to pick, and to be clear, it's Donald Trump. Spoilers: it's going to be Donald Trump. It will surprise me if it's anybody, but anyway, so I'm not going to cover that because it's largely bullcrap, and I try to tell the truth. So this week has been a good example of the little day-to-day evils that the state does. The first story that I'm in, and most of these are going to be brief. This week in Tyranny is what I'm going to call the first section. It's a few little stories that I'm going to cover, like I said, just briefly, and get into what they had to say. So anyway, there's more from our glorious leader and his kind and generous dictatorship. He murdered another leader in Yemen. He assassinated a leader of Al Qaeda. They've resurrected Al Qaeda. They're defeating ISIS now, so they have to call up the dead and bring back Al Qaeda so that they have something to scare you with. So that's going on. And so that's basically what's going on with that. They murdered somebody else. And unfortunately, there's not a lot more of that than there is. The link to the full story will be down at the bottom. But that's that. Our socialist leader also has sued to take private property to build his meaningless and ineffective wall. One of the thing is, this is a wall. Have nobody ever one, I'm going to get back to the main point of him being a socialist, but has nobody noticed that the people coming across the border go under it and over it? I think the statistic that I saw was 40% of people that come in from Mexico are coming in on planes. So the wall's not. How big is the wall that he's going to build? I'm guessing that's not going to get as high as a 747. So yeah, that's bullcrap. But what he is doing is he has decided, fiat, through his power, to sue to take by eminent domain the properties of people on the border. A lot of the times, that border wall is not going to be able to be built because the terrain or whatever is not going to be able to go directly onto the border. So they got to pull it back as much as a mile from the actual physical border. And so, and just to be clear, this is the Cato.org that is where this article comes from. And they said that it could be as much as a mile inland and on somebody's property. And some of it's like rivers and stuff like that he just can't build wall there or a fence or anything. So he's going in socialist fashion. He said, you don't know nothing. There is no such thing as private property. This is Donald Trump in government fashion, and he's just seizing it, just taking it. You know, I get in arguments with libertarian socialists over property rights and things like that, but none of them arguing to go take somebody's land and build a wall. It's the dumbest thing in the world, but it certainly is telling everyone who owns that property, and it is the federal government. And don't tell me the eminent domain is supposed to be for helping, people. That's all bull. And we all know that it's bull, and it's been bull for a long time because they're doing things like taking people's property because they think they can get more tax money out of it. So if they build it up. So that's all just smoke and mirrors and proof. Again, and the proof goes on and on and on and on and on. That, and we'll get to it in detail in a moment. But just more proof that Trump is just another socialist dictator who is trying to set up his own little dictatorship. So that's what he's doing. Outside of Trump, another thing that I found interesting, another small little proof of our tyrannical government is actually from the past. There's a new documentary, and I have not watched it yet. I just read the article on it, on Malcom X, that is hitting Netflix. And it has made the police start to look into the murder of Malcom X again. And for anybody that pays attention to especially my Twitter or Facebook, I like Malcom X. I think that given some time, Malcom X would have become a voluntarist or at least a libertarian of some kind, and because he was definitely going in that direction. And I think that's one of the many reasons why they have black community rising up and taking their freedom. They're already starting to do it, so they controlled it with crack, and that's all different stories. You can look up yourself how the CIA introduced it. It was public knowledge, and this is not a conspiracy theory or whatever. This has been proven. They introduced crack into inner cities in order to crush the black family. I make arguments all the time that they're currently doing it to the hillbillies with meth. And so they just introduced that to crush them. Anyhow, they had pinned this assassination on the black Muslims and the Nation of Islam, and they may have been involved. They're going to do another investigation. It's government, so they'll find whatever they find, and who knows? We'll never know the truth, but it's good that they're looking. And what it looks like, from what I gathered from the article, is that the CIA was at least involved in the murder and assassination of Malcom X. It just begs the question, why? He had become peaceful. He had, I believe they saw where he was going, and he was going to become a anti-government force and encourage other people to do it. And he had a really good voice, and so I think they took him out. And I look forward to seeing that when I get the chance on Netflix. But the article is linked below. So that's This Week in Tyranny. The next thing that I unfortunately have to cover yet again is more on the coronavirus. And this is out of ZeroHedge. If you don't know, ZeroHedge was removed off Twitter because they told the truth. So that tells you something else. But a scientist is being investigated for alerting the government about Chinese bioespionage. His name is Dr. Frank Plummer, and he was found dead in Africa. That's right. The guy that he did his duty. He's dead. The government's dead. You know too much. And that's just what they did. And so Plummer allegedly alerted authorities to missing material on the same day a former vaccine researcher was arrested by FBI special agents after U.S. Customs discovered the vials stuffed in a glove in the trunk of his car at Manitoba, North Dakota border crossing. Some of the vials included genes from the deadly Ebola virus, but local scientists say that the material is not infectious. But more than a week after the theft came to light, police said no one from the lab has reported the incident. Plummer has said the researcher signed a form declaring he did not steal anything from the lab. and understood he was not allowed to. The National Lab does not conduct searches of staff when they exit the lab and does not routinely take inventory of thousands of vials containing non-infectious biological substances. However, court documents allege the former researcher stole the vials on his last day of work at the virology lab in January because he did not want to start his research over from the beginning when he entered into his next fellowship with the National Institute of Health at Biodefense Research Laboratory in Maryland. So that's just the gist of who this person they killed, that died in Africa was. He's the guy that blew the whistle, and he's connected to the coronavirus, and he may not be the number one scientist connected with it, but he is definitely connected. And so with what China's doing to crack down, and one of the things that I saw, and Luke from We Are Change posted on his Twitter a video of, and this isn't like on the YouTube, you can just go to We Are Change's and Luke Rudowski's Twitter page, and it shows him just smoking all this stuff, but there's no problems. It's just clouds of disinfectant. No problem at all. I actually don't think there's going to be a major problem, but they're testing that out too. So anyway, so that's going on. That's where we're at with coronavirus. It continues to have people die. It continues to grow in numbers. I think I saw that the first person to die that was a United States citizen. I don't think he was in the country. It's not spreading rapidly, and we don't have this major problem as yet. It may get there, but we aren't there yet. So I'm not going to cover it any more in detail. But I am going to cover the state of the territorial monopoly of force and violence, woo! Or the State of the Union that Donald Trump delivered early last week. I'm going to just go through this. I've watched it, but I haven't read this. So this is going to be all kinds of fun because I'm going to go through and make fun of it as much as I can. So Trump comes out, and let's be clear, this is all for show. And, Nancy Pelosi back there ripping up pages. She's just mad. No, she's doing theater because, she has to, because she's trying to get her people elected. Got to drive up that divide and conquer because, people need to be fighting each other, because if they don't fight each other, they won't pay. The people that support Trump, they're not paying attention to Nancy ripping some papers up. They might go, whoa. Wait a minute. You said less intervention in the world, so or wait a minute, that's socialism. You're talking about controlling the economy. So anyway, it's all a show. But anyway, this is how it goes, and this is going to take a while, but should be fun. All right. So he came out, said thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. So he's doing the political stuff. What I find funny about this is from the New York Times. It's got the transcript, and I find it funny. There's like applause, and then it talks about what I don't know if they wrote it down as it was going or had a copy, and it's just filled in applause. or USA, which that's coming. But anyway, good times. So, Madam Speaker, yeah, because he gives a shit what Nancy thinks. I'll tell you, Madam Speaker, Mr. Vice President, members of Congress, the First Lady of the United States, applaud. Yay, everybody's still in government. This is all an exercise. Just in, we are the government, my friends. It is all about, look at us, worship us, we are your church. Pretty soon they're going to be singing hymns before these things. Be like, be ladies up there holding their hand. Start, no offense to the Pentecostals out there, but that's what's going to happen. They're going to have Trump. They're going to be channeling Trump. Touch him by the pussy. So that's on its way. So anyway, and my fellow citizens, like he's one of us. And I realize a lot of this is just formality, and he's coming out, but still, my fellow citizens. Shut up. You ain't never been just one of us. From birth, rich and separate. So anyway, so 3 years ago, we launched the Great American Comeback. Really? I don't know about y'all. I'm not coming back to crap. I haven't. My paycheck is about the same. Cost of stuff is going up. Look at the real job numbers. We won't get into that in a minute. But anyway, so tonight I stand before you to share the incredible results. I'm not seeing nothing incredible. Okay, sorry. Jobs are booming. Jobs in Iran might be booming pretty sure. Soon he gets what he wants. He's going to boom all kinds of shit. He boomed the hell out of some amount of money, I'll tell you that. He boomed the shit out of him, but jobs ain't booming. I got news for you. You could trot out whatever fake bullcrap you made up, but the jobs aren't any better. Trust me. I live in the real world, and I live right in the middle of the country. I live in Indiana, and look at the real unemployment rates, not the bullcrap they put out. Because the unemployment rates are based on who's on unemployment. You can only be on unemployment for so long. You're fixed. Good job. You report shit now, but okay. So anyway, so jobs are booming, incomes are soaring. Again, same amount of money. So that's all bull. And yes, I realize that it just could just be me. I have not seen any proof of this. This is just him talking all kinds of. Poverty is plummeting. Anybody been to Nancy Pelosi's district? Yeah. Poverty's just gone there. People living in boxes. They're liking it in boxes. That's how they like to live. It's a culture. So, crime is falling. Again, the opioid epidemic alone was screaming all the time. The crime ain't going nowhere. So anyway, crime is falling. Confidence is surging. Okay, I ain't confident. I don't know who is. I'm not. So, and our country is thriving and highly respected again. Where is the proof? I want to see any proof. Just because he said some shit doesn't mean that that's what it is. Respected. Who the hell respects us? I'll tell you what, Putin doesn't respect a goddamn thing we do. That dude in China just ass raped us with a trade deal. So did Canada. So did Mexico. Ain't nobody respecting jack. They're respecting us because we bow right down to Saudi Arabia. We told them yes. So they said, okay, we respect you for that. And then we went over and sucked off Israel. And yep, they're on our side too. Yeah. Oh, applause. Some more applause. Yeah, everybody's respectful. America's enemies are on the run. I don't want enemies. I don't have any enemies. There are no enemies for me. I don't have any. My enemies are people trying to, I don't know, steal from me, murder my kids, collects data on me. My packages come. It's funny. You can mail me something, and my daughter, who lives in the exact same town I do, if you were to, from wherever you are, if mail took a day to get to my daughter, or it took a week to get to my daughter. Add 2 days, that's how long it takes to get to me. I work for Adam Kokesh. So, I think I know who my enemies are. So, enemies are on the run. Americans' fortunes are on the rise, and America's future is blazing bright. This is all bombastic bullcrap. Nothing in that. I realize it's introduction. So you gotta get your attention getter in there. I know when I was in speech class, we learned all about that. This is a really weak one, though. I gotta say, this is not gonna catch my attention usually. No. The only reason it caught my attention is because the president said it, and I know he's about to just butt shit the fuck out of all of us. So anyway, the years of economic decay are over. Done. Fixed it. No more. They're done. Of course, he's planning on having a dictatorship, so in his mind, maybe they are. Because he's wonderful in his mind. That's all bull too. He's just a puppet on a string. But the days of our country being used, taken advantage of, and even scorned by other nations are long behind us. What this whole applause. What that whole line is for is we're on a team. You're trying to get people to connect. This is all about how do you connect to the state. We're in it together. We're a team. He's using tribalism. It's us against them, our enemies. That's all tribalism. He got the red, white, and blue uniform on. Somebody else got another uniform on, and they're getting ready to go out on the field. That's all this is. It's the same thing, pitting the same thing. People go running around wearing Jeff Gordon colors. That's the whole thing. It's I'm on this team, and you associate with it, you buy into it, and suddenly you've got an American flag and you're just out there, woo, So it's all the same. Anyway, gone too are broken promises. Okay, gone too are broken promises. This one I can dig into a little bit more. He promised to get rid of Obamacare. Still got Obamacare. Sure, individual mandate's gone. Still got Obamacare. So anyway, that's bullshit. All right. Jobless recoveries, tired platitudes. Well, you're just full of tired platitudes. This whole thing up until now has been tired platitudes. And constant excuses for depletion of American wealth, power, and prestige. I don't want American wealth, power, and prestige. I don't want that. I don't want the country. I don't want the government to have a bunch of money, because government doesn't have its own money. They've stolen that from somebody. So if they're getting wealth, they're taking it from you. It is what it is. Or are they arguing that they're plundering or getting ready to play? Plundered Iraq. That's what it is. They plundered Iraq. It's time to go plunder Iran because they need to get wealth. I mean, come on. That is what it is. Power and prestige. I don't want them to have power and prestige. The founding fathers talked about being, George Washington particularly, said that we should be friends with everyone and enemies with no one. Patrick Henry said we don't need to be this prestigious country. We don't need all that. We need to just live our lives as individuals, because they understood that nationalism isn't a good thing. It's fine to like your tribe. I mean, hell, look back here. I got yellow and black, a little bit of red in it too. Big anarchy symbol. I got all kinds of flaggish stuff back here that I like to associate with my team. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of tribalism. Not a thing. Well, somebody else has black and yellow. I go, oh, are you a voluntarist? Are you possibly an ANCAP? If you're an ANCAP, we're going to have a little bit more of a discussion. But if you're a voluntarist, let's sit down by the fire and smoke some weed. That's it. Oh, and if you're an anarcho-communist, the Red's for, okay, we're probably going to have a little bit more to talk about. But hey, we can all sit down and talk. Because we're anarchists. We're all against government. So I'm good with that little bit. So anyway, there isn't anything wrong with that. But I don't need no prestige. I damn sure don't need any power. Again, neocon. Talking points. He's signaling to the neocon wing of his party, I'm on your side. We're going to do more of that. In just 3 short years, we have shattered the mentality of American decline. When? I got to get going, because otherwise I'll be on this forever. And we have rejected the downsizing of America's destiny. We have totally rejected the downsizing. You're right. We are moving forward at a pace that was unimaginable just a short time ago, and we never, ever going to look back. Right. You have made big government your goal. You're right. Downsizing is not going to happen under your watch. Thanks for clarifying that. Thanks for making that apparent. That's what he just said. These are not, I am reading directly from his speech. So yes, he is not downsizing. For all of you conservatives out there that preach and scream about limited government, he's not doing that and just told you he wasn't. He's talking about something else. No, he isn't. That's what he's talking about. Downsizing is out the door. Because America wasn't founded on power and prestige. America was founded on freedom. And you can't have both. You cannot have an empire and have a free society. It does not work. Because you are throwing people against their will to murder other people. That's what war is. It's purely murder. Like Voltaire said, we are opposed to murder and killing your fellow man unless you get a whole bunch of people together to the sound of trumpets, and then murder's just fine. No, it's not. So I am thrilled to report to you tonight that our economy is the best that it's ever been. The best that it's ever been. But we're not going to talk about platitudes. The best it's ever been. I'm sorry. This is not the best it's ever been. I'm sure he's talking about Wall Street, but that's not the economy. Wall Street is a bunch of investors. That's not this. That's not the economy. So he's saying that I'm thrilled to report to you tonight the economy is the best it's ever been. Our military is completely rebuilt. Great. With its power being unmatched anywhere in the world. There's some truth to that. And it's not even close. I'm just bragging. Again, power and prestige. Our borders are secure. The only legitimate border is a property right border, and he just covered a minute ago that private property, nope, he's suing against that. So he's just, anyway. And for all of these reasons, I say to the people of our great country and to the members of Congress, the state of our union is stronger than ever before. Have you ever known a more divisive time than now? They constantly sow division. it was all bull crap, but he just went through an impeachment. Unity. We're all one. The vision I will lay out this evening demonstrates how we are building the world's most prosperous and inclusive society. One where every citizen can join in America's unparalleled success and where every community can take part in America's extraordinary rise. I think he's making a nod here to minorities and what have you, and that's fine. And, people are people. I don't care what ethnicity you come from or whatever. But again, this is government saying we are in charge of that. We are responsible for that. Government doesn't do that. The private property does that. Entrepreneurs do that. Somebody deciding and has a good idea and puts it into practice. That's what makes a great community. But he doesn't care about a great community. He cares about his wealth and power. The vision I lay out this evening demonstrates how we are building the world's most prosperous and inclusive society, one where every citizen can join in America's unparalleled success and where every community can take part in America's extraordinary rise. From the instant I took office, I moved rapidly to revive the U.S. economy. All him. It's my fault. I did it. It's all me. I made that happen. He's not even crediting anybody in government. It's just him. I did that. You're welcome. Slashing a record number of job-killing regulations. Just talked last week about the new North American Union bill that he just signed, how they talked about regulations and adding regulations that he just said he was killing. This dude does not know how to speak without lying, and I realize he didn't write all this, but still. Slashing a record number of job-killing regulations, enacting historic and record-setting tax cuts. Where? I'm sorry, I just paid my taxes. I got news. I'm not rich. They weren't cut. And I know that, again, just one instance isn't enough to prove anything. But I feel the pain of making the same amount of money, watching prices go up, because tariffs raise prices. He's played that game. Anyway, I'm fighting for fair and unreciprocal trade and reciprocal trade. In other words, tariffs. Making people do that. Forcing people, because everybody wants to do that. Again, that raises prices. It's basic economics. If you have a company that makes a widget and it costs $1 to make the widget, and they can only sell it for $2, okay? Then they need $1.50 more, they're going to go out of business. It's that simple. So there's that, and then on top of that, if they want to make $1 and you make it $1.25 more, to cost, that price is going to go up to $2.25. Price controls don't work. Tariffs don't work. None of this stuff works. Manipulation of markets don't do anything but drive people out of business, or those are two choices: drive people out of business or cause the price to go up. It's what it is. And then what happens when a government decides that, but we need whatever the widget is, then they force people to make it at gunpoint and take a loss, and they take it over, and they make it government. And then it becomes less effective and less efficient. And next thing you know, you got bread lines. I mean, this is socialism. Anyway. Our agenda is relentlessly pro-worker, pro-family, pro-growth, and most of all, pro-American. No, it's not. It's pro-Israel. It's pro his buddies. It's pro whoever paid him off this week. It's pro-bank, all of that stuff. Thank you. We are advancing the unbridled optimism and lifting our citizens of every race, color, religion, creed very, very high. All right. Since my election, we have created 7 million new jobs. $5 million more than government's experts projected during the previous administration. Okay, so they're saying that Barack Obama projected 5 or 2. You know, he's not going to say that Trump's going to do a great job. So, and there, you know, populations increase, people enter the market. It's anyway. Again, all smoke and mirrors and bullcrap. The unemployment rate is the lowest in over half a century because they manipulate the numbers. The real unemployment rate is in double digits in almost every community. The black community is awful. Just go look it up. And very incredibly, the average unemployment rate under my administration is lower than any administration in the history of our country. True. True. Like anything he says is the truth. So if you haven't reversed the failed economic policies of the previous administration, the world would not now be witnessing this great economic success. And again, this is all mine. I did it. You know, businesses didn't do nothing. You know, people on the Republican side got mad when Barack Obama said, you didn't build that, government built that. But that's exactly what he just said. I did it all. It's all me. And then what's worse is it ain't we did that. He's not talking about we, the government did that. No, he's saying I did that. It's all me. I did it. The unemployment rate for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans has reached lowest levels in history. African American youth unemployment has reached an all-time low. That's bull. That is not true. That is not true. I don't have the statistics because I'm going through this as we go. So the links are not going to be in the bottom. Look it up. That is not true. African American poverty was declined to the lowest rate ever recorded. I don't believe any of that. The unemployment rate for women reached the lowest level in almost 70 years. I don't want. Let's look back. Okay. And last year, women filled 72% of all new jobs added. All right. So I want to dig into that just a little bit. All right. 1, nothing wrong with women working, women and men, just 2 different sexes. There's not a difference. Got to be clear so that people don't get all crazy. But come on. I don't want. My wife works because she has to. She doesn't want to. She wants to stay home and watch my little girl. Now, we've got enough money to where she only works while my little girl is at school. So she's home after school and before school. So that's good. But she doesn't want to work. We need her to work. And she doesn't want to. I want her to be able to stay home. I don't want to spend my 8 hours a day working. Full employment is not a goal. Somebody pointed out the other day that, it used to be you owned your home by the time you were 30 and you didn't have to pay all those bills. We don't do that anymore. But the economy's great. Donald Trump did it. 4 years. The veterans' unemployment rate dropped to a record low. The unemployment rate for disabled Americans has reached an all-time low. Still not talking about veteran suicides, 22 people a day, which I think it's actually dropped to like 17, but still not talking about 22 veterans committing suicide a day. But they're working out there making that tax money to bring right into my ass. That's right. So I can go fly around and Elizabeth Warren get on her private jet and fly around too. Workers without high school diploma have achieved the lowest unemployment rate recorded in the U.S. history, because you're using a percentage and most people have a a diploma at this point. That's what they're doing, manipulating the number. A record number of young Americans are now employed. Under the last administration, more than 10 million people. All right, he's going to go through. I'm just not going to do this. I've done enough of it. He's going to go through and say, I created all of this economic stuff, and all of it is not true. Or they've manipulated the numbers. You cannot trust if you're not seeing how they got their numbers. So many times people say, well, cite your sources. The government can just say it. Oh yeah, we doubled the whatever. And people have come out that worked for Trump and said that it was the growth was like 87%, and he came out and said 90%, and they were like 87 was pretty good. By July, 90 sounds better. So, all right. So he's talking about how government has fixed the entire government or the entire economy, and he did it himself. This is all him, and so he goes on and on and on and on about that. And I had thought about reading this whole thing. I'm not going to read that much bull. I'm just not going to. All right, but now he's getting to something I want to dig my teeth into a little bit more. And he goes into opportunity zones are helping Americans like Army veteran Tony Rankins from Cincinnati, Ohio. After struggling with drug addiction, Tony lost his job, his house, and his family. He was homeless. But then Tony found a construction company that invests in opportunity zones. He is now a top tradesman, drug-free, reunited with his family, and he is here tonight. Tony, stand up. Oh, you're in a wheelchair. Oh, sorry. Back to Biden. Anyway. The opportunity zones, the government, again, we did that. We created that. What they miss is how many jobs would there be if people innovation wasn't being stifled by government, if people were allowed to make all of their money and were not being stolen from through taxation. And I mean, roughly 50% of your paycheck goes away, and you're going, oh no, I only pay like 22%. And your boss pays for this and this and this, and then you've got this fee and this tax and that tax and property taxes, and about 50% pre-average. So again, he's talking about government-controlled economy. Our roaring economy, for the first time ever, given many former prisoners the ability to get a great job. Government providing jobs. Government doing this guy. How do you Republicans not get this? Is all big government socialism. Again and again and again and again and again. He's government is the answer. Government is the answer. Government is the answer, and completely ignoring the fact that without all of this government regulation, and what's funny is he gives lip service to it, and then talks about how he's done it all himself. It just blows my mind that anybody believes him. Okay. So he's talking about the United States being the #1 producer of oil and natural gas in the world by far. Okay, good. Where's the private companies that are doing that? Oh, you're taxing the living crap out of them. That's right. And stifling innovation again. Doing what you can to prop them up while choosing big winners and losers. Any smaller company you go after with taxes and regulation and wipe them out like every socialist country does because you have friends that are in the big oil companies. So he's talking about that he's doing all this stuff. He's going to get into my favorite. 6 days ago, I replaced NAFTA and signed the brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement into law. Covered that in detail last time. I strongly suggest you look at it. Will create 100,000 new high-paying American jobs. There's no proof of that. The massive boost experts for our farmers, ranchers, factory workers, which are the people that he has to subsidize because his tariffs have put them in such a shambles that the U.S. government has to prop them up or they will go out of business. Sound familiar? So... So that's that. It will also bring trade with Mexico and Canada to a much higher level. which is great. Free trade is good. This is not free trade. And I say because it's government manipulation of the market. That's not free trade. That's socialism. People, just because you're a Republican doesn't mean you can't be a socialist. And Donald Trump is the perfect proof of that. So he's backed it up, though. He's backed off of it because he said this is the first major trade deal in many years to earn the strong backing of American labor unions. And before he was like, this is the best one ever. The first successful one, and all this stuff. He lied then. He's lying now. So again, I also promised our citizens that I would impose tariffs to confront China's massive theft of Americans' jobs. So he raised prices on Americans. How does that get you jobs? Again, manipulation of the markets. Our strategy has worked. How? My prices, I go to the grocery store and get less stuff. I don't really get a whole lot else because I can't afford it because remember, our economy is going great. Except for that it's not. I wish this was funnier, just it's kind of sad. So he's talking about how China's for years taken advantage of the American people, and we're getting revenge because they didn't just immediately do the same thing. that didn't happen at all. No, they didn't raise prices on our goods that they're giving us. And they didn't impose trade sanctions on us either. They didn't do that, did they? Yeah, they did. As we restore American leadership throughout the world, as we put everybody under our thumb, bam, you're under our thumb now. Once again, standing for freedom in our hemisphere. That's why my administration reversed the failing policies of previous administrations on Cuba. Cuba ain't doing nothing. Those people got like cars from the 60s because they have already adopted Trump's policies. I really don't know what the difference between Castro and Trump is, except for that Castro made it official that he's a dictator. So anyway, we are supporting the hopes of Cubans, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans to restore democracy. Really? I have a woman that works with me who is from Venezuela. Her family's from Venezuela. She says they don't have nothing. Not a thing. She communicates with her mom and her dad all the time. And they don't have anything. Her dad he has a farm. He had to sell his farm to the government, had to get what little bit of money he could out of it to survive. So the government has redistributed it right into their pockets and got... because my first vision, because I don't care about what they say you can't send seeds through the mail. I don't care. I was going to send them seeds because I was like, oh, I have a way to help. Because I was thinking, these people are starving. I could send your dad, who's a farmer, I could send him a bunch of seeds for really cheap. I mean, Dollar Tree's got like 4 packets of seeds every spring for 4 packets for $1.25 a piece. I can buy a crap ton and get all my friends. I work for a presidential candidate. Let's get everybody out there to send a bunch of seeds to your dad, and he can sell them. Make a bunch of money, make him good, give them food. He had to sell his farm, so I can't do that. But comment if you got an address. I'll do it in a heartbeat. I mean, Santa Claus from Santa Claus, Indiana, will send them all kinds of stuff, and it won't be me. So anyway, here this evening is a very brave man who carries with him hopes, dreams, and aspirations of the Venezuelans. Joining us in the gallery is a true, legitimate president of Venezuela, Juan Guaido. How? How is this dude legitimate? The U.S. government said, yep, he doesn't even have any power at all anymore because the U.S. government said, you're in charge, and the Venezuelans said, go fuck yourself. He's not in charge of shit. Let's run over more people with cars. No, this dude has no legitimacy. He has no, just the gall of our government to say, yep, you're in charge. We said, and that makes you legitimate. Thank you, Mr. President. Great honor. Thank you very much for showing up when I told you to and doing everything I tell you to because you're my little puppet. Revolution. Viva la revolution! And by the way, he's a socialist. The funny thing is, this dude he's not as bad as the guy they got now, but he's just as bad as most of them. Of course, so's Trump. Please take this message back to all Americans, that all Americans are united with the Venezuelan people in their righteous struggle for freedom. Okay, right. Just like we were with Iraq. And they just literally voted, and everybody said, get the fuck out. Get out. We don't want, Yankee, go home. We don't want you here anymore. But they're united. Here we go. Socialism destroys nations, but always remember, freedom unifies the soul. When in this speech, okay, in the whole speech, when did he once talk about freedom? Not once. Talked a lot about socialism. Talked a lot about seizing the means of production. Seizing government, taking control of the economy. That is socialism. I can't. It's like, that's yellow. I mean, there's. To safeguard American liberty, we have invested a record-breaking $2.2 trillion in the United States military. How is that ensuring liberty? Jefferson said that a standing army was one of the most dangerous things to liberty. 2.2 trillion. Thanks. Okay. Socialism destroys nations. The war, he definitely does a good job at it too. And look at what the Tocqueville had to say about that. He said that the quickest way to destroy a nation is through warfare, which has been true a dozen times. So we have purchased finest planes, missiles, rockets, ships, and every other form of military equipment. We are also getting our allies finally to help pay for those. Their fair share. No, he's not. NATO ain't doing crap. That's what he's talking about. NATO ain't doing nothing. I have raised contributions from other NATO members by $400 billion. He just talked about it just now. 2.2 trillion United States military. And so all the NATO nations just put $400 billion together. There's differences in zeros there, Mr. Trump. Minimum obligation has more than doubled. Oh my God. Now he's appeasing the neocons. He's got socialism handled, now he's going after the neocons. And just weeks ago, for the first time since President Truman established Air Force more than 70 years ago, we created a brand new branch of the United States Armed Forces. It's called Space Force. Very important. Very important. It's very important. Space Force. Have you seen? You should see Space Forces. It's a Star Trek emblem. This dude's playing. I mean, just playing. And by the way, I like Star Trek. It's a fun. I enjoy the shows, whatever. But the society they have is socialist. And I know everybody's going, hey, you're talking about socialism, and it's communists everywhere, and blah, 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 everywhere. But no, there's no money. There's credits. Like, that's different. Anyway, so they created Space Force. In the gallery tonight, we have a young gentleman. His name is Captain Picard. I'm joking. And anyway, no, he's talking about some kid who's gonna have to stand up. He's gonna dream to go to space and all that. skip a little bit ahead. After more than 130 combat missions in World War II, he came back home to a country still struggling. His great-grandfather, blah, blah, blah. All right, from the Pilgrims to the Founders, from the soldiers at Valley Forge to the marchers at Selma, and from President Lincoln, not a friend of liberty, and to Reverend Martin Luther King, who you killed. That's right, the U.S. government killed Martin Luther King Jr. They won, back in the 90s, they, just look it up, they won a court case that said, guess what? U.S. government killed Martin Luther King Jr. I believe it was FBI. So we killed him, but honoring him tonight. Anyway, have rejected the limits on our children's future. The limits on our children's future are that they're being stolen from and getting ready to go fight Martians with Space Force. Anyway, we must always remember that our jobs is to put America first, except for that he doesn't. America first is bull. He's sold us out to the Chinese, to the Saudi Arabians, and to the Israelis. And he just has. And this is all nonsense. So he goes through some more and talks about all these people because he knows that the meat and potatoes is all done. So now he's talking about taking over. I've also made an ironclad pledge to the American families. We will always protect patients with pre-existing conditions. And we will always protect your Medicare. We will always protect your Social Security. Always. We will always protect socialist programs. The American patient should never be blindsided by medical bills. That is why I signed an executive order requiring price transparency. In other words, I forced doctors to do this. Many experts believe that transparency, because that's going to matter, which will go into full effect at the beginning of next year, will be even bigger than healthcare reform. It will save families massive amounts of money for substantially better care. But as we work to improve America's healthcare, as the government, this is, come on, this is socialized medicine, people. You fought. You elected him to get rid of Obamacare. He's talking about strengthening it. What do you think he's going to do if he gets reelected? He's going to strengthen Obamacare. You're going to wind up with that individual mandate coming back. He's going to wind up going down the exact same path as his buddies in the Democratic Party. It's the same. So, he goes on to talk about taxpayer-funded health. Okay, over 130 legislators in the chamber have endorsed legislation that would bankrupt our nation by providing free taxpayer-funded health care to millions of illegal aliens. So he's saying we're not going to do that. We're going to give free health care to everybody else, but we're not going to give it to illegal aliens. Which is, again, bull. All right. My administration is taking on the big pharmaceutical companies. We have approved a record number of affordable generic drugs to drug your kids up and make sure that they're enslaved. We need to make them as autistic and as brain dead as we possibly can. And medicines are being approved by the FDA at a faster clip than ever before. I don't want medicines approved quickly. Okay? I want medicines approved efficiently. Fast does not equal good. Okay? And mandating that they get done fast is the stupidest thing I have ever heard. And he's cutting costs, which means taxpayer-funded medicine. Again, can you imagine a Democrat delivering this speech? Republicans would be beside themselves. Lindsey Graham might go out and cheer because he's talking about war too. But the Republicans get all butthurt. This is all bull. So he goes on and on and on and on. So now he's talked about socialism forever and how he's going to socialize medicine and how he's going to socialize the economy, how he's going to bomb people all over the planet. So he's got all that socialist neocon bullcrap out of the way. Now it's time to recognize Russian Limbaugh. And every American family knows the pain when a loved one is diagnosed with a serious illness. Here tonight is a special man, beloved by millions, and Americans who just received a stage 4 advanced cancer diagnosis. This is not good news. But what is good news is that the greatest fighter and winner that you will ever meet, Rush Limbaugh, thank you for your decades of tireless devotion to our country. Make sure your people vote for me. Just making sure to your people who, if they paid any attention, which they didn't, but if they paid any attention to all this socialized crap that I'm talking about, would be getting in the streets and ready to lynch me. Make sure they don't do that. So it gives him medal freedom. All right. I don't have anything against Rush. I think, by and large, he probably is a decent guy. Economically, he's okay. He's a neocon. But, you know, there are worse people out there, John Hannity. You know, there are some things I can agree with Rush on. Now, he didn't actually believe any of it, but there's some things. So anyway, it gives him the honor. Whatever. So we pray for all the sick. Now he's making a plea for religious votes because, you know, that matters. You know, the pussy grabber in charge, and this guy is about as far from being a Christian. I'm not a Christian, but he pretends to be, and Christians got him elected, and that dude is not a Christian. It's just not. I'm more of a Christian than he is, and I'm not a Christian. So, anyway, giving everybody to pray, so that's that. And he's tying, just like Woodrow Wilson did, he's tying religion and politics together so that they get conflated and people, you know, think it's part of their religion. The church down the road from my house, not very far from here, has a big picture of Trump. Pray for our president. Big, like, lighted sign with the picture on it. Church across the street from me, and I mean literally across the street, it's annoying. For 6 months, played patriotic music. 6 months, just, you know, hearing the Marine fight song, hearing the Our Country 'Tis of Thee, hearing America the Beautiful, all of that crap every day, every hour from a church. So, yeah, they're conflating that. So, he goes on talking about his socialist bullcrap. And then he gets into the border and paying ICE officers, which, let's be clear, ICE officers are paid to separate families and rape children. That's what they do. They get together and they make sure that children are mistreated because they happen to be of another nationality. They aren't born in this monopoly of force and violence. They're born in a different monopoly of force and violence. So we got to make sure to throw them in a cage and treat them very badly. But he cares. Christian. That's Christian charity right there. Talking about sanctuary cities and shutting them down. You know, when is he going to turn all that on you? You should be asking yourself that. When are they going to start turning these guns on you? You know? So, talks about defending religious liberty. Of course he's doing that because, again, he's consolidating power with religion. He said, my administration is also defending religious liberty, and that includes constitutional rights to pray in public schools. In other words, we're going to tell you what I guarantee if somebody, say Wiccan, and they went into the public school over here, I don't care what Trump says, and they wanted to practice their religion, good luck. He ain't gonna put up with that. And I've already seen how the Muslims get treated. You know, yeah, you can pray all day to Allah. Go ahead, and then you get beat up out in the parking lot. So yeah, homeschool your kids. Get them in a private school. Do so. Get them out of the public schools. All right. If you can't tell, part of this is just really getting to me. I didn't think it would get this bad. You know, he's talking about going to Mars, and he's spending that on you. And then he gets back into, last week I announced the groundbreaking plan of peace between Israel and the Palestinians. That wasn't groundbreaking. Palestinians all said, to hell with you. No, that was, literally, the Israelis and the Americans were there going, we had a deal. They didn't make no deal. He was bullcrap, so he could say it in this speech. You got to wonder if he's doing that with that. What else is he doing that with? So now he's going to go on Baghdadi and how they got him killed. And all right. I'm just going to tell you, I can't do this anymore. I cannot read any more of this bullcrap that ends after all of this militarism, because war is murder. He's getting into now, diving into the military-industrial complex and how he is a slave to them, and talking about war. And it ends with the audience going, USA, USA, USA. This is propaganda. It is brainwashing. Wake the hell up. I get that this stuff annoys me, and I try to be funny on here, and I have not been able to. I thought I was going to be able to, and I just find myself getting madder and madder and madder, because this is nothing but propaganda. Every bit of it. How do people not see it? That the Trump is doing nothing but propagandizing you. Propagandizing the So what do we do to stop it? That's my question. And the answer is that we start to act. We've got to peacefully start taking action. Start getting off your ass and doing something about it. Voltaire said, and I'll put the link down there because I didn't put it in my notes. But we're pretty far. We're an hour and 8 minutes into this, so there's going to be very few people here. But more or less, he said you have to take action and wake up. He said you've got to, because there are tyrants out there who are going to put shackles upon sleeping men. And all of these things that I've covered tonight are ways that they are absolutely enslaving you. Or shooting and killing people like Malcom X. Socialism has killed millions of people all over the world. And it's because socialism is what the government is looking for, complete control over everything. Oppenheimer, who was Rothbard, talks about pretty extensively in several books, but The Anatomy of the State and also in Ethics of Liberty. Oppenheimer talked about there are two ways to run a society. One of those ways is through voluntary cooperation. He called that the economic means. And the other is by force and violence. And he called that the political means. And what having government seize the economy is, and that's what Trump's talking about, what that is the political means eliminating its competition. Now, we all know that it's impossible to fully eliminate it. That's just the way it is, because wherever you set up a territorial monopoly into full power, you wind up with a big black market, and people find a way to trade amongst themselves, because you can't be everywhere at once yet, and they're working on it. 5G, gotta get a handle on this technology. We gotta get free before technology takes over, and these are very good technologies, but don't put them in the hands of these psychopaths. So take action, do something. And I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about do something in your life that furthers the cause of freedom. I don't care if it's talking to somebody. And no, it isn't all that helpful to go on Facebook. But if that's what you can do right now, do that. Talk about freedom. Talk about, and do it in a peaceful way so that you draw people to it. But get yourself set up. Become self-sufficient. Because, man, those shackles are going to get put on us very quickly. And this is a long fight, and we've been fighting it for a long time. And the truth is, this is a setback. Trump is overreaching. And that can be seen by reactions, to us. The shutting us down on social media and those kinds of things that are designed to stop our voices because they fear our voices. And if they fear us, we're getting somewhere. But yeah, don't let them shackle you up. So this has not been the best of weeks. It's one of the longer videos, but stay free. If you like this video, please like, share, and if you like my t-shirt, it's available at the Aquarian Anarchy store. And if you like this banner, go buy that. I got lots of products, really cool. Support me in that way. I don't count on the money. That's the way I stay independent. Ain't nobody pulling my strings for sure. Stay free.